Hello and welcome back to Joe's Math Tools. In our session today, we are solving a two-step equation using the distributive property. So if you're ready, let's get started. In solving our two-step equation today, we have the distributive property being applied in our equation as well. So before you begin even solving the equation, you need to first apply a distributive property. And I'm going to work out this step separately on the side. Now remember that once you get to the point where you're able to work out these equations for yourself or apply the distributive property, you won't have to be applying or working out this step at the sidelines. You can just do this right within your equation. So the distributive property tells us that we're going to be multiplying 2 to 3r, and then 2 will also be multiplied to 2. So that means that when we multiply 2 times 3r, their product will be added to the product of 2 times 2. And 2 times 3r will equal to 6r, remembering that we multiply the numbers and keep the variable. And then when we multiply 2 times 2, this will equal to 4. And remember that because 6r and 4 are unlike terms, we will not be simplifying that expression any further. So we're now going to return that back to our equation. And now let's begin collecting our like terms. So remember that in solving two-step equation, that means they're using two of your one-step equation rules to solve this one equation. So the first rule I'm going to apply is my rule for subtraction. Remember that if we're collecting like terms and since 4 is being added in our equation, that means that when I group this term or this number over the equal sign with 28, I'm now going to subtract that 4 from 28. So now let's simplify the right hand side of our equation. So when 28 subtracts 4, this is equal to 24. And now we've completed using our first of our two steps. So now the second step we're going to use is our rule for division. And the reason why we're using division, remember that 6r means that 6 is being multiplied to r, and since our main goal is to get our variables r on one side of the equation by itself, we're going to be dividing both sides of the equation by our coefficient 6. And remember that your coefficient is simply the number that is being multiplied to your variable. So whenever you have a two-step equation or a one-step equation where you have a number being multiplied to the variable, you will be dividing by that number that's multiplied to your variable. Okay, so now let's simplify. So we're going to be dividing 6 into 6, and when 6 is divided by 6, this will equal to 1, which means that we have 1r left over. And remember that your 1r is the same thing as saying r, so we don't need to write the 1 in. So now we're going to be dividing 6 into 6, which will equal to 1. And when 6 divides into 24, this will leave us with the quotient of 4. So for this equation, our unknown variable r is equal to 4. So now let's check our answer. So we said that r was equal to 4. So that means that now I'm going to be replacing r with 4 everywhere that it appears in our equation. And before I go any further, just to avoid any confusion, remember I will just work out the parentheses at the right hand side so that, again, if we have anybody that's following along that is not too good with expanding their parentheses, they will still be able to follow us. So we're going to be multiplying 3 times 4, which is equal to 12. And when 12 is added to 2, this will equal to 14. So now I'm going to replace that 14 back into my equation and continue solving everything else from there. This is equal to 28. So we have 2 times 14, which is 28, and 28 is equal to 28. Remember that your goal when checking is to make sure that both sides of the equation are equal to the same numbers, and they are, so that means that your solution of r equals 4 is the correct answer for this equation. Okay, so there you have it. We just solved the two-step equation using our distributive property. And remember that we started off with our simple, easy one-step in solving these types of equations. And then we're going to be expanding as we move right along, so that as you work through, remember that you have to keep practicing in order to develop your skills. And when you're ready to learn a new step, make sure that you return back to Jules Math Tool, where we make math easy.